Everybody, video here for you today. This is a by request video. I had about 3 or 4 messages on this site. I think it was last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, something like that. And this is a place I talked about maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, the Miami Circle. So I've been looking into this week, and then just in the last few days, as I'm sure a lot of you were, just horrified by that building collapse down there in Surfside. My best thoughts go out to those people who are dealing with that situation. But let's go down to Miami today. Let's talk some ancient history. Some of you may remember my Miami Circle video. This is a very interesting site, and it's located right where you would think it'd be, right on the riverway here, right where it empties out into the bay. But this is a site that was a little controversial. They made some findings down here. Some construction was halted. But this is the location of the Miami Circle, and it's going to undergo some renovation. That was one of the stories that was sent to me. But ancient people living here maybe 2,700 years ago, what would they have thought if they could look almost 3,000 years into the future? They would have been just awestruck. The Miami Circle was discovered in 1998. Some construction was halted. They created a park, and they actually covered up the Miami Circle so you cannot see it. They have some signs out here. But let's go to a news story. Some new findings were made. I believe at this property right here, 444 Brickell.
NBC6's Paxton Boyd is there to tell us what was found and what it could tell us about Florida's first settlers.
Archaeologists overseeing the demolition of this site that you see right here beside me say they have discovered prehistoric artifacts that could give us some better insight into the Tequesta, the Native American tribe that used to occupy this area. Prehistoric findings in Miami that include bone artifacts, drilled shark teeth, and pieces of pottery, all found at the 444 Brickell property just south of the Miami River. The remains found under what was a parking garage built in 1972. Historian Dr. Paul George says archaeology in Miami has really just begun since that time.
So we've moved forward, and we understand the importance of archaeology in places that are considered potentially important. And certainly the river is important, and its banks are important.
The land was once occupied by the Tequesta tribe, with fossils found in the area dating back 10,000 years.
So much of the important finds, excavations have been done along the Miami River, and it's obvious because it's a waterway, so it's a source of water, of fish, of locomotion if you move from one place to another. So early people certainly used that.
The excavation currently halting construction on 3 towers of up to 82 stories. The developer, Related Group, telling NBC6 in a statement it is working alongside Archaeological and Historical Conservancy Incorporated, adding Related has and will continue to fully comply with all the existing government regulations for developing within the zone. Just east of the site, the Miami Circle, believed to be the location of a structure built by the Tequesta, was discovered in 1998. Public outcry led to a halt and eventually stopped construction in the area. The site was purchased by the state of Florida and Miami-Dade County and later declared a National Historic Landmark. Dr. George was on location for that excavation.
There was such a crescendo on the part of the public to preserve it that they preserved it.
As for the latest site at 444 Brickell, Dr. George says it will likely depend on the importance of the site and what's found there.
I know that the Related Group are very responsible when it comes to their appreciation of history and of art and things of that nature.
The recent discoveries possibly giving us a deeper look at how Miami's earliest inhabitants lived thousands of years ago.
When I get a chance to study what's been uncovered in this latest excavation that we're talking about, I'll get, I'm sure, an even deeper insight into them and even a richer feeling toward them.
Now, if these artifacts are confirmed, they would make this area eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. In Miami, I'm Paxton Boyd, NBC6 News.
Now let's just do a little reviewing here. This park has changed over the last years. It's going to go under another renovation project. Here is what it looked like in 2011. But as I said, it's changed quite a bit, but here is the covered up actual Miami Circle. A perfect circle here. They think some of these carvings may have been geometrical figures of some sort. And what is that right there? Well, that is a septic tank. They found thousands of artifacts at this site, some pottery, some bone tools, some bone ornamental things like shark teeth. Here is just a look at some of the artifacts found at the site. Here's a story that came out a few weeks ago, the Birthplace of Miami, Miami Circle site to go through much needed restoration. Let's just listen to this video.
At 6, when the Miami Circle was discovered 20 years ago, some historians considered it the birthplace of the Magic City. The site is officially called Brickell Point Site. On February 5th, 2002, the circle was listed on the National Register of Historic Sites.
And as CBS 4's Hank Tester reports, after 20 years, the park needs some serious updating to preserve the site.
It is a gem, the south side of the Miami River, surrounded by the Condo Canyon that's now downtown Miami, Brickell. The Miami Circle, archaeologists say it is the vestige of an Indian settlement 2,700 years ago.
The view and the experience is priceless. Millionaires pay gazillion dollars to own property like this.
1998, a millionaire developer did own the property, wanted to put up a condo, but archaeologists discovered a number of holes cut into the bedrock, a perfect circle, 38 feet in diameter. It was determined this was a significant site, important to indigenous people, and it's the birthplace of Miami. It was not without controversy concerning authenticity, but $26.7 million took care of the developer, and the site became property of the state of Florida. To preserve the site, the state actually covered up the circle and the holes that were discovered and put up lots of signage explaining the site, made it into a green space that attracted locals and their pets and tourists. But over the years, constant saltwater spray, tropical storms, and the Miami Circle has become an unofficial dog park, which adds to the impact, no matter how cautious dog owners have been.
It's a very difficult and challenging location to maintain. For one thing, it's exposed to all the elements.
So what's in store for the Miami Circle besides lots of salt-resistant sod? Well, for sure, not the covered facility many would like to see, no additional visitors parking, nor display of artifacts found on the site, but more weather-resistant foliage for $600,000.
It's going to look like a small, beautiful, well-kept park. It's going to look nice and very manicured without being a great deal of labor-intensive.
Kind of like it was back when the park was first created, but preserved as it has been for 20 years until a more ambitious plan may surface.
Now down below I will leave the links for these websites where these videos are at, so you can watch the full video if you want. A lot of my Ancient America series has just gone over how these ancient sites were dealt with, how they were protected, semi-protected, or how they were destroyed. And they're all different. Let's just read a little here, and there's a pic from 1998 when they were doing the work here. It says, after state purchase, the site was controlled consecutively by the National Park Service, what was then the Historical Museum of Southern Florida, and now the Florida Department of State. The circle was never properly displayed. In 2003, it was reburied to protect it from weather. It is now under a park that long didn't even have proper lawn care. Thought the neglect was not intentional. The site has been nearly useless as a historical touchstone for the beginnings of Miami and its people. What long has been lacking is money even to create a 3D replica of the circle above ground that the state promised 5 years ago, much less showing the original circle under a protective building in glass, as was proposed in Rome. 2,000-year-old sites could be seen under protective glass, even deep underground, but Florida has no respect for its own history 2,000 years ago. Here's a story that came out about 8 days ago, and this was sent to me, I think, last Monday. Talks about the new findings here, and Robert Carr talks. And these are some good words to end this video on, so let's just take a listen.
Well, Miami is a great city, and the fact that this great city has a great beginning, has a deep heritage that at this location goes back at least 3,000 years, is a legacy that should not be forgotten. In fact, not just forgotten, it should be highlighted. It should be accessible. It should be tangible. And this site provides that opportunity for people to experience the site, whether they're local residents or visitors or tourists. This has the opportunity, just like a site in Rome or in Paris, where you can actually walk off the street and look down into the ground and see parts of the site preserved. This is a rare opportunity that's never been exploited in Florida. So to have that kind of location with that kind of opportunity is something no one should ignore.
That was certainly a good one to review. The Miami Circle down here, restoration projects, new findings right nearby. What will become of that? Well, it's very interesting, but the history of the Tequesta people, going back almost 3,000 years in this area, that was certainly a good one to do. There is a mound just north of it. I think that is called the Sherwood Forest Mound. Not very high, but definitely an ancient burial site. Florida has a very interesting history. Windover Pond site, 7,000 years old. The Page Ladson site, 14,000 years old. Warm Mineral Springs site going back into the Younger Dryas. A lot of interesting history in Florida, but I hope you thought that was cool, and you all have a very nice day.